Good morning. Respected Deputy Governor, Deputy Chairman IBA, Senior Vice President of FICCI, Chairman NASSCOM, Deputy Counsel, BCG colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real privilege and honor to be here with you today in India. I will introduce I'm leading the fintech topic in BCG globally, and I will walk you through and share some thoughts about how you should consider fintech. We heard a lot about cooperation, disruptive innovation, the importance of serving customers better, and to undermine the processes that may be improved. And so, right now, excellent, I will walk you through three things. First thing is, what is the landscape globally, and how should you consider it? The second thing is, how do countries compare in terms of fintech disruption? What is the importance of the regulator, the banking market, the overall ecosystem, and how do customers feel about it? And lastly, I will end up with three elements that I would like to share with you that could be done in order to force or enforce this cooperation between fintechs and banks. If we look back, in 2005, there were about 2,000 fintechs globally. Every dot represents a fintech. Since then, 2010, today, we currently have more than 14,000 fintechs globally. 3 fintechs are created every day. And you have, with the app, the ability to look at the 800 plus fintechs that are present here in India. The space that they covered initially started with payment. It progressively moved to lending, wealth management, and now the hype is more on blockchain. And blockchain is something that is growing very, very fast, together with enabling tools such as data analytics and security that matters significantly. In total, if you look at it, more than 100 billion have been raised by fintechs. This means that every second, $600 are spent by VCs on fintech. This means that every day, more than $50 million are raised by fintechs. So it's a huge amount. The main drivers or the main collectors of those amounts were, as I mentioned, payment, and second, lending. Lending to serve the retail customers, but also lending to serve the SME market. India is capturing a growing share of fintech. In 2012, India represented only 1% of the VC funding. Currently it's 5%. So it's accelerating significantly. A majority of the Indian fintech industry is fueled towards payment. And you do have, with Paytm and MobileQuick, significant players there. All those fintechs, or majority of them, are backed by VC, and this has a huge consequence. They are all going to be up for sale or cooperation. So is it a threat? Maybe in some instances. Are they here to partner with banks, with telcos, with retailers? But they are here to play a role in a broader ecosystem. And only a few of them IPO'd. You have only out of the 14,000 fintechs, 22 unicorns, the major one being Alliant. in China. The space that they cover is broad. It's a typical BCG complex slide. Here, you have all the domains on the top. And in the rows, you see that retails and corporate SMEs cover the vast majority of the fintechs that were funded. And when I mirror the world split of those fintech with Indian split, it's exactly the same at the exception of blockchain. So the development of fintech is very vivid here. And while payment concentrated the most, we see many, many things occurring in all the play field of banks. Then one question that we get very regularly is, are we going to be disrupted as banks? And we look at 4 lenses to explore the level of disruption. We look at customer perception. That's a first. Are the customers fully equipped? Is there an underbanked market? Is the SME market ready to leverage digital opportunities? The second lever that we look at is regulators. Are they progressing towards fintech? Are they pushing digital licenses? The third are banks. Banks, we need to look at it 2 ways. Is the market concentrated or not? And are banks leveraging the challenge of fintech? And the last element is ecosystem. The traditional ecosystem, such as telco players or retailers, or the new players coming in. Together with our colleagues, we looked at the US market. In the US, customers are all equipped, and on top of it, if you survey them, when they are asked, do you prefer to go to a dentist, or do you prefer to go to see your relationship managers, 85% of the US customers prefer to go to the dentist, which means that there's a trust issue. Regulator in the US favor state by state differently, so the regulation is a bit shaky here. Banks are not that concentrated, and we're a bit late to embrace the fintech challenge, and the ecosystem is very strong. Then we compared with China and with India. And in India, you have in the cities a lot of digital education or a lot of digital embracement. But on the other hand, you have a lot of unbanked and underbanked population that needs to be served. Regulator progressed significantly and made multiple moves. You have the unified payment scheme, and it was mentioned earlier, this payment board. The eKYC is there. And there are multiple payment banking licenses that are granted. And it differs a lot from my country, France, where the regulator is really very slow at allowing fintech to emerge. Banks in India have embraced the fintech challenge quite well, as well as the fact that the banking market, if I look at it, 60% of the lending and 70% of the deposits are shared by the top 10 players. So it's fairly concentrated in a sense, even though there's a long tail. And the ecosystem is quite present. I already mentioned telco players, Airtel and Vodafone, who have a payment license, but the traditional players are there. So, having said that, 3 things that we feel should occur. When you look at fintech, they have 2 specificities that I will address. The first with the first and the third comment. The first comment is fintech are customer-centric. They are customer-minded. They think always about customer. This means that they create personas to understand what customers are expecting, and they are trying to solve pain points. This mindset may differ significantly from what I see in some banks that are product-oriented. So what does it mean to service better customers? The third element that fintechs embraced is data. They leverage significantly data in order to do the right marketing approach, to tailor definitely the personalization of the offer, also to look at profitability. And so clear data governance together with personas are two things that banks may embrace from fintech. And this will allow further innovation. The second point matters also significantly. As I mentioned, those fintechs are up for cooperation, most of them. And thereof banks need to equip themselves to look and study the fintech space to see what is the best fit for cooperation. They may look at it locally in India, but they may also explore the world to bring ideas that were developed outside India into India proactively. And this should be thought in a broader context. The broader context is about the strategy. What do you want to do? What is the priority? Is it customer-facing or is it efficiency? Is it serving the wealthy clients and the SME, or is it tapping the unbanked and underbanked? So these differ significantly, and thereof the digital strategy differs. Do you want to reinvent your journeys, and can fintech support you to reinvent your journeys, or to invent something else? Do you want to look proactively the ecosystem and fund part of the ecosystem? Do you want to use fintech to enhance your IT architecture, to do big data and analytics, or to support a huge challenge, which is a culture change of the employees? And all this encompassed in a digital transformation agenda. Thank you.